Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
Coaches, welcome to another episode of Coaching Youth Hoops. I am your host, Coach Bill Flitter. Today we have a guest. We have Coach Carter from Denver. We're going to be talking about his matchup press. I found Coach Carter. He came across my Twitter feed, and he had some clips of his matchup press, and I thought, I run something similar. He's having a lot more success than I was, so I wanted to dive in and figure out what his secret is to his matchup press. Coach, welcome to the Coaching Youth Hoops podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, like we said off here, we get to talk basketball, so that is a good day.
Bless
right?
you.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
very blessed. So, Coach, let's dive into just tell us who you are, where you are, how long you've been coaching. Give us a little bit of background to start things off.
Well, I'm born and raised Denver, Colorado. I played basketball here, high school. I played college ball at the University of Colorado Springs, UCCS. It's south of Denver, about an hour. My minor claim to fame there is I played for 2 years with Derek White, who plays with the Boston Celtics now. Teammate, good friend of mine. After that, actually, while I was in college, started coaching club AAU ball in Denver when I was home for the spring and summers. Got into high school basketball coaching around the same time I went into teaching. I just finished up my 6th season being a head varsity coach here at Highlands Ranch, a suburb of Denver to the southwest, about 25-30 minutes. So just love basketball. I'm a lifer, hoops junkie, nerd, if you can see by my Twitter feed. So I'm all about it. Like you said, any day I get to talk about hoops is a good day. So I'm just blessed and happy to be here.
Nice. And why don't we start off with that too, your Twitter feed. Where can people follow you?
My Twitter feed is Coach Burgundy, like the color burgundy. It's and that's my main page where I tweet at basketball pretty much 24/7. So
awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes as well, so you coaches, you can see that there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into your matchup press. I'd love to kind of get a understanding of why you did it, how it was. There's so many presses. Why that one? Why not another, like a zone press, a 1-2-2 or 2-2-1 or diamond or what have you, right? So why the matchup press? And just maybe just also like, what is a matchup press in general?
Okay, yeah. Well, matchup press essentially it's a mix between, the way I describe it's a mix between man and zone. So we have both man and zone principles in our press. And the why, I think when done correctly, it's the toughest press to prepare for. A lot of what we do offensively and defensively is done from the lens of considering what our opponent has to prepare for. I try to think about what's tough for us to get ready to play, and then we try to incorporate some of those concepts, some of that thinking into what we do and part of our system on both sides of the ball. I've ran pretty much every press you could imagine, a
Mm,
1-2-1,
mhm.
a 2-2-1, 1-2-2 half court trap. I mean, we've done a little bit of everything. I've always been a big fan of pressure basketball, full court pressing. I mean, the reason I actually got into pressing or got into coaching was watching Shaka Smart's BCU team back in
Yeah.
2011. Press and ran to the Final Four. They pressed Kansas and beat Kansas when they were like 35-2. So that got me really interested in that. Big fan of Rick Pitino's old teams, Nolan Richardson. So a lot of my
Um,
coaching idols, that kind of style of play. Um, I think the matchup is, in my opinion, it's the toughest to teach. It's the toughest for your kids to learn. But, as with anything else, if it's tough to learn, tough to teach, but if you get good at it, it's really, really hard to stop. It's hard to counter. I think it's given us an edge. And I think, and to answer your question, why we decided to do this, I think it fit our personnel really well. We've always pressed in some capacity. The first 5 or so years that I was the head coach, we've pressed essentially on every dead ball, every free throw. We do some kind of pressure defense. We have a couple that we alternate between. This year we went all in. Last year we had a really successful team. We had a top 10 team in the state, and
mhm.
we almost made it to the Elite Eight, and then we lost 8 seniors off that team. So
Wow.
essentially we were bringing in a whole new group. I mean, really, really a team that basically played JV last year. So bringing those guys in, we had good quickness. We had great kids, played hard. Not a ton of size. Our league is really tough. Our league had 6 of the top 12 teams in our state this year, including the state runner-up. So it was like really daunting. Our league is really tough. We have a couple active Hall of Fame coaches in there. So just trying to make us different, trying to make us a tough prep, a tough matchup, maybe with like a 1 day turnaround if a team's not prepared, or if we throw something at teams or coaches that they don't see a whole lot of, maybe gives us an edge. I was trying to think of
That
we
makes
got
sense.
advantages. So we went all in this year, pressing every dead ball, every make or miss. We tried new things and it worked out well for us. So hopefully we're able to continue to tinker with it and make it better and better. But we were really happy with what we got out of it this year.
Yeah, and it looks good. And we're going to show some clips of generally what it is in a bit here. But so you mentioned about, the different presses that you ran, and why didn't you stay with a, 1-2-2 or a diamond or
Mhm. Well, we we
and I would say that, sorry, coach, to interrupt, but
you're
that's
good.
what a lot of coaches run, right? And
Right.
especially at the youth level, if they're running some
Right.
sort of, just a traditional kind of diamond or a zone
Yeah, definitely.
press. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Before I became a head coach, that I ran a diamond,
Hmm.
essentially a 1-2-1-1, and had good success with it. What I found at the varsity level, especially when we were playing the opponents that we've been playing, a lot of them have elite players. I mean, in our league had
Mm.
three of the five first team All State guys in it. Um, not to mention the second teamers and other guys.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
essentially night in, night out, we're playing two college players at least. And then you're playing Hall of Fame coaches, you're playing very, very good coaches. And they, I think with zone presses, if that's what you do all the time, you can prepare for that and you can break that easier than you could a matchup press.
Hmm.
Matchup press, you're more taking the chalk out of the opposing coach's hand and you're putting it in the hands of their players. So it's especially effective against teams that are very, very methodical, where they need a play call every single time or they rely on
Mm.
the coach to kind of script their actions. We want to make them play unscripted. We want to make them just make reads and react. If they're not used to playing that way, it gives us the advantage because we practice like that every single day. So we feel like there's not a lot we can control as coaches, but one of the few things I think we can control with that press is tempo. So we can make teams play the same speed that we do, the same pace that we do every single day. So they may have better players, they may be bigger, more athletic, whatever it is, but they may be uncomfortable because they're not playing the same game of basketball that we play every single day. So that might give us an edge. So I still use zone presses, usually as a change up. If they
Mm,
call timeout and
yeah.
I know that they're preparing something for the matchup, then we might go to a zone trap there, or we might change up the defense. We might not even press at all in that possession just to kind of keep them off balance. So I still use those. But as far as a primary, I think something that's a little more unpredictable, something that relies more on your players' instincts, I think is more effective long term, especially when coaches have film on you and prepare and all that stuff. So that's why I've
Yeah.
chosen to do it. There's plenty of coaches much smarter, more talented than me that, use the same thing year after year or certain zone presses or whatever and have tremendous success with it.
Sure.
I just feel like I'm trying to accommodate for me not being a genius or whatnot and trying to put my you know.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah.
And what the so running the matchup. Well, why don't we do this before I ask this question? I got a ton of questions. That's why
Yeah.
I'm like pausing. I don't even know where to
Yeah,
begin.
no worries.
Let's show a clip of what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
And maybe you can explain a few things and it'll be rock solid. And if you're listening to this only on audio, this is also posted on YouTube. So go check out the images there, video.
Share screen. Oh, it says you have it disabled from screen sharing.
Okay. Oops. All right, how's that look?
Here we go. Okay. Awesome. So there we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
All right. So I think start with I have it categorized into different parts of the press, but let's just do the parts where we're trapping. We try to contest the inbounds. We do a lot of face guarding, which we've tried new this year, and we had
Mm.
some good success with it.
Can you go back to that? Did you show that in
Yeah,
that original? I just want to understand. And
yeah.
again, we want to kind of just go through the details of
I can even
this.
show some inbounds, just ones of us on
Okay.
the. So
Yeah.
we
And
really
and
want
I
to
also noticed that, you got a lot of attention on your post in this particular press. Why do you think that is?
a lot of I think because it's unique. I think the way
Yeah.
that we trap and maybe like the different points that I emphasize are maybe a little unique. It's a little different than like your average zone trap or just straight up full court man to man. So I think maybe our
Hmm.
points, taken from a lot of different sources and a lot of really good coaches, I think maybe that give it a little more notoriety and uh,
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so
but
back to the face guard. So you said you're face guarding.
by default we face guard.
Okay.
Usually, unless the other team has a chance to like set up their press break on a dead ball because they know we're going to face guard, then we might go to more of like we might go to the side of them, put our forearm in their ribs, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's the inbound.
Yeah.
But I really think the face guard is effective like on a made bucket or live when the kids don't when the opponent doesn't really have a chance to set up a press break or the coach doesn't have a chance to move kids around. Because I think you saw even in the thread on Twitter, some people were asking like, or were saying, well, this looks really easy to just throw over the top. I say, well, yeah, if they have time to set up, it certainly is. But I think when it's just live action off a made bucket, it's really difficult to do that because the counter's already starting. So on this one,
Mm,
on this
I see.
particular clip,
Yeah.
we had just scored. So we had just scored a fast break layup off a steal. And so now we get right into the press. And so we're right on them, match up to the closest guy. They just throw a quick pass. So we're able to, that's two straight buckets. So then we're right back in it. We're matching up. You see my guard here's face guarding. My
Mm-hmm.
big here isn't face guarding. He might be fouling him, but we're getting away with it right there. Uh, that's okay. Like they can't call everything. But we
Right.
get a deflection on the ball, pass it up.
It's
That's
only
three.
a foul if they call it, coach.
That's right. That's right. That's what we tell our
Yeah.
guys. That's three straight buckets, so then forces a
Mm,
timeout. So runs like that, if you can get like two of them in a game, usually we're in good shape. This is a really
yeah.
good team playing here. This is a top 5 team in the state, and sometimes, and I tell people, if you're going to press, you have to commit to it. And against good teams,
Yes.
you're probably not going to turn them over as much. It's a wear and tear type deal. Usually later,
Mm,
you stay
mhm.
with it and you're playing hard, you start to see those results later in the game. Like this is another top 10 team we played. We actually started this game down 15-0. I
Oh,
don't know if
wow.
you see the scoreboard right there. That was just our second bucket of the game, but we won this game somehow. Still not sure how that happened, but I think the press was a
Nice.
big part of that. Let's see, there's an example of
Just throw it over the top, right?
over the top, like after a made bucket, they're not on the same page, so then we're able to get a quick steal off of it, and then we have numbers going the other way. It's essentially a 2-on-1, and we're able to get another layup out of it.
So I know coaches are going to be asking or saying, well, I don't have the
Hmm.
personnel.
Right.
What, and again, let's break it down for the youth coaches. These are again our third through eighth grade coaches. What kind of personnel can you run this with and or not, when you should go to something else in your opinion?
And that's always a major concern, and it's a concern of ours as well. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
reason why we hadn't committed to pressing all out 100% of the time until this season. Um, Part of it was we had four really good guards, pretty quick. We felt like they were good on the ball. One of our guards, this one actually, he ended up leading the state in steals. He broke the school record this year. He averaged
Yeah,
about
and
four.
keep that image up. I want to talk about that, but finish
Yeah,
your
yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, but personnel wise, I think the matchup too is good for I think it's good for a multitude of personnels, whereas there's certain other presses where you really need a certain type of team makeup to make it effective. I really think with like a straight zone press for it to be effective, you need length and a certain amount of athleticism to cover up parts of the court. And I
Hmm.
feel like maybe if you're smaller, more of a matchup or a man-to-man run and jump would be a better choice for you because you take advantage of your speed, your quickness, and that sort of thing. We're not the biggest team. I
Hmm.
think I think I'm the tallest guy out there, and we've had
Yeah.
good success. I mean, we're playing teams that are much bigger than us and with great athletes. Like I said, our league is pretty tough, pretty talented, but we
Yeah.
were able to find some success by being unpredictable, by making sure that we're always covering the rim, making sure we're always putting pressure even when we're behind the ball, going through what we call back tipping, running through the basketball, speeding them up. And again, like providing our guys with a level of comfort by practicing that pace and that style of play every single day. Just trying to give our guys an edge. Like there's only so many things that we can have an advantage or an edge on in the game of
Hmm.
basketball. But like if we're practicing this way every day, and we play a team, no matter how talented they are, if we make them play the way we play every day, we feel like
Yeah.
we have an advantage there. Now we still have to make plays, we still have to guard, we still have to rebound, all those things. But I feel like that gives us a level of control over parts of the game that we wouldn't otherwise have. So I think every coach just needs to assess their personnel if they will really want to press. I think matchup, you can make it work with basically any personnel you have within reason. You just have to work at it, and then you have to be willing to adjust throughout the game. Like there's some games we won't trap as often. There's some
Mm.
games that we won't put a guy on the ball. Sometimes we'll make him play center, what we call center
Okay.
back here. And then there's some games, like I was saying earlier, we won't face guard. We'll more let them catch and keep the ball in front of us, and then just try to work them up the
Hmm.
court. So there's different levels of pickup and different things that you can do to adjust. But I really think that if you want to do it and if you do it smartly and you put some time into it, I think you can press effectively just about any team.
So let's go through a couple of scenarios then. So,
Yeah.
what are you looking at when you don't guard the ball,
Hmm.
right? So the inbound, right? So that looks like number two in this particular picture. Uh, what are you worried about? What are you seeing? And what are some of the other scenarios that it changes slightly?
Okay. Yeah. Well, two here should be probably closer on the ball. I think he's
So you're
kind of
in their face. I mean, as close as you can get, right? Within
yeah,
the, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
if we're on the ball, we're in them. We tell our guys to count. Um, and some referees, like there's been a few this year
Hmm.
that told our guys they couldn't count. I'm not sure why it's
I
not a rule.
heard that. I've gotten that before too.
Have you too? Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like
That's a
you can't
Bruce. That's a
count.
Bruce Pearl thing. I picked up from him.
Yeah.
But we tell our guys to count 1, 2, 3. It gets the referees thinking about calling a 5 count, and more importantly, it gets the inbounder panicking a little bit, so they
Yeah.
hear the count going and they think they need to get it in. But if, like I said, if it's a dead ball and they have time to set up their press break, typically we'll go what we call, our press is 55, so we have 55
Mm.
on as the default, 55 off. If we say off, that means off ball. So then our guy on the ball would go behind. A lot of times teams will try to attack us with a 1-4 across.
Oh,
So
right. Yeah.
I think I even have a clip down here of us in that. I do. Yeah. So I even have clips of, so that's that same game. So see, they went with a 1-4 across.
Mm.
So then we took our
Yeah.
guys that were typically on the basketball and we put them behind here, and we try to make them just catch it in front of us. And then we
Okay.
from there. So then we bring a guy back, even though it was kind of slow, they're still 70 feet from the rim. We have good ball pressure. We have guys matched up. And so then we feel like we can, and then we end up
Oh my
forcing
goodness.
a layup out of it. So,
Uh,
that's one way we edit that. So a lot of times if teams are having time to set up their press break, we'll go off and put guys behind the ball so that ultimately we want them to catch as close to the baseline as possible. And we want them to think twice about throwing long because we feel like we have a good chance to make a play on the ball if they try to go over the top.
and then again, going back to 55 on or 55 off, on is what? On is in front,
On
face
is
guard, or is on the ball?
on is face guard on the ball. So
Okay.
our default. So any made
Mm.
buckets, even on missed shots, we're in 55
Yeah.
on. Guys, closest guys on the inbounder, we're face guarding the closest attackers. Usually the default opposition, they usually have like 2 guys around the elbows. They have 2 guys back around half court. So those guys back court won't be face guarding, but they'll be playing up a little bit, splitting
Yeah, I
and
saw that in that other image. They were in a good stance, so I'm assuming there's a lot of work that goes into how you guard those two back defenders.
yeah, yes, definitely. And that's something that we adopted this year. Um, really trying to play up the line. So let's say if there was a guy back here,
Hmm.
his defender would be, we tell our guys, get as far off of your guy as you can, where if they throw to him or her, you could still get there. So
Yeah.
for each kid, that's different. So I tell the kids,
Okay.
if it's
Yeah.
me, I can probably only be a couple feet off because
I see. That's a good rule, yeah.
right. But then some of our other kids, some of our guards, like they could probably get like here and still make a play on the ball if the ball goes over their head. And the reason we do that is because we're face guarding up here. We
Hmm.
want to put doubt in the inbounder's mind that he or she can throw it to this area over the top. So if they
Yeah.
want to throw long, they've got to throw it all the way back here. And we tell our guys, if we're playing 55 on and they throw over the top for a
Yeah.
layup, that's this person's fault on the ball because that means
Oh, interesting.
you're
Yeah.
not getting good enough ball pressure. We tell them you need to count, and it needs to be either a bounce pass or it needs to be a really, really high lob that we can make a play on. So we try to go position by position, teach everybody their spots,
Hmm.
and then we get a tremendous amount of reps in practice. We play a lot of breakdown. We'll go from 1-on-1 to the full court. We'll go 2-on-2, 3-on-3, all the way up to 5-on-5. We play a lot of that, just breaking down the components of the press. And if there's parts of the press we don't think are working too well, we'll isolate that or we'll play out of that action. Like if we're not trapping well, if we're not closing down the trap well, if we're not sprinting out of our traps very well, if we're not face guarding well, we try to isolate through film. And like
Mm-hmm.
they're joined together. We'll show it on film and then we'll teach it and rep it during practice. So we try to marry those things together because we know a lot of our guys are visual learners. So we try to support that.
Talk to me about like a typical practice then. How many minutes are you practicing just your press?
We try,
On an average, right? An average week.
yeah. So let's say, obviously practice time fluctuates throughout the season, gets shorter as you go on because
Sure.
you want to save legs. But let's say we're 2 hours of practice.
Hmm.
We'll press at least 45 minutes to an hour of it. And honestly, maybe more. but we try to combine concepts and teaching methods as much as possible. So
Sure.
we may do a rebounding drill where we'll start off a live ball, like off a shot from a coach, and because we press makes and misses, we'll press right off of that, and we'll transition down and back, and then stop and flip it over or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So that way we're combining rebounding work with the press, or we'll go off of a free throw, or we'll go off of half court out of bounds, like a side out of bounds. Like, okay,
Okay.
this possession, we're pressing. So then we're combining that into what we do with our live component. Now, like the first part of practice when we're doing like skill development or when we're getting shots up, like obviously we don't have much in that, but we try to be creative in finding ways to incorporate our press work with all the drills that we do from a day-to-day basis and give them different scenarios and put them in some
Hmm.
different,
Hmm.
situations. And even when we do like live games, like late game scenarios at the end, we talk about that, like when to foul, who to foul, time and score. So
Yeah.
a lot of times we try to trick them too, like try to teach them more about the press without them actually knowing that we are. So talking through those,
Right. Yeah.
sometimes you
Those
got to,
little coaching tricks that we do,
right,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Oh,
but
this is the game. We're having fun, right?
yeah,
It's not a
yeah.
drill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, but I do think that you have to, if you want to be a good pressing team, you have to work on every
Yeah.
single day. You've got to devote good time to it.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of time if you're running, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What is your half court defense?
We play multiple. So we play man to man.
Okay.
We actually play I don't know if you remember, we played Texas Tech and Baylor's version of no middle man to man. It was really
Okay.
popular
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago. We play
Yeah.
that as our man scheme, and then we'll alternate between that and a matchup trapping zone, a 1-2-2.
Yeah. I was
Um,
going to ask you, I bet you probably do a matchup as well in the half court, right? Because that's kind
yeah,
of what you're doing here. So,
yeah, similar
yeah.
principles. So, and we try to we try to marry principles from the prep
Uh-huh.
our in our half court defense as much as possible. Try to make it simple for us, but tough for teams to match up with. We've heard coaches over the years ask us like how many defenses we play because they think we play like 8 to 10, and really we played like 2 or 3, but we have
Mm.
wrinkles. We have wrinkles to our schemes. Like we might trap the first pass, we might trap the first ball
Uh,
screen, or
yeah.
or yeah, or like we might have a couple different versions of our zone where we'll trap different areas or we won't trap at all. So it seems like we're playing 9 to 12 defenses, but really it's just like 2 or 3.
And how
Which
are
we
you calling those? I'm just curious from a developmental standpoint and not overloading the kids, right? So if you're going to
yeah.
trap, first pass, or we're going to trap wherever
Mhm.
the other scenarios you might do, right?
Mhm.
How are the kids knowing? Are those called out
Yeah, we
scenarios?
have
Those are,
calls. We have
yeah,
calls, and we also have certain things where we'll give kids options. So we'll tell kids, just like in our press, we'll tell kids when are good times to trap. Like if the ball goes into the corner, let's say, like if we were in the half court defense and the ball's
yeah,
dribbled past here, and if there's the on ball defender, and if you're an off ball defender, but you're really close by and your guy's leaving the action, especially if your guy's like going across
yeah,
or coming, we say,
yeah.
you know what, like if they're there, like trap them. Like it's a good
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for us to trap. And that's not a call, that's just a read by the kids.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but we do have specific calls that we'll do. We have certain calls that we'll call where the kids will know that the first action, whether it's a pass, a ball screen, dribble handoff, we're trapping that everybody's rotating to get into intercept lanes. And then after that, we're just in that regular defense. So we know it's only
Okay.
like one trap, one and done. And we feel like it's fairly easy to teach because you're not really changing anything except for like one read or one call. So
Yeah.
so it's easy for our guys. We try to simplify things for us and simultaneously make it complicated for whoever we're playing against.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a balancing act.
yeah, yeah.
So can we break this all the way down now? Can you show us like just okay how you set up the some of the basic principles that you do teach
Absolutely.
and you mentioned at the very beginning it's difficult to teach, and I want you to kind of dive into why is it difficult and what makes it difficult?
Definitely. Well, it is To me, it's difficult because it's different than any other press. It's very different. It's very unique. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's not like a zone press. It's not like a man. It's really a mix of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that we trap. It kind of goes counter to what kids are inclined to think, especially if you run nothing but like zone trapping or just straight man-to-man full court pressing with no trapping. Because we trap turns, like I think I talked
Yep.
about. That's what we really look for.
And
And
explain, yeah, if you got a couple of visuals of that as well, because I
yes,
think that's just a good, simple concept to
yes,
grasp, right? It gives them, I always like having also, especially at the youth level, it's like, okay, I like free form play, absolutely, but sometimes it's like, okay, do this, right? Trap the turn. This is what we're looking for. Boom, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. And like I said, you can like we have constraints on our drills. Like we do it like almost every day where we won't even start an inbound. We'll go 4-on-4. We'll have
Mm-hmm.
like two guys here and then two guys here in a box with defenders. And we'll go, okay, you got to get this guy in a speed dribble. You got to get him going up the sideline. And then the next guy over is going to come over and trap, and we're rotating and being aggressive. And we're going to try to go for a steal. And we just go from that point because then we hammer in really what we want to teach. And that's the important part is getting that trap, closing down the trap, and then what are the guys off the ball doing? So if you see here, my on-ball guy, he's getting
Mm-hmm.
good ball pressure. He's making him dribble. My guy here knows he's not trapping. He's just here to kind of slow him down, stun at him. And my kid over here, he's the one that's going to come trap. So you see, he sees
Uh,
the back of his head, so he knows he's sprinting at him, and he knows he's going to cut him off. And ideally, right when they change direction, go behind their back or spin, our defender should be there, and his teammate, our guy, should be here.
right.
Like a little late here. Like I should have an interceptor here. We tell our guys, like in most traps, we want to only leave the furthest guy open,
Yeah.
furthest guy opposite open, because that should be a hard pass. But luckily, we get the steal. We're able to get an easy bucket out of it. But
That's really, I mean, one of the things you really have to work on and be disciplined about those rotations.
yes, and
So
and
why did you, in that particular scenario, you
yeah.
send the cross court guy over? Is that because he anticipated he was going to turn? And why not bring the guy closest to him up to trap and
Oh, the
then
guy,
just do a rotate that way,
the
the
guy in front.
opposite way, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we tell our guys one of our rules is don't
Hmm.
never trap from where they can see you coming.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I like
so
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
guys like players at our level, they just like if you trap from the front,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing a bad team or if you're just clearly superior to them, you can get away with that. And I always
Yeah.
tell our guys, we're not preparing to play teams we should be. We're preparing to play the best teams on our schedule, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so we want them to have to make tough reads. We feel like it's a tough read where if we send you up the sideline, we cut you off, you turn into a trap. Now you have to make a read with pressure on you. Now we think that's a great trap and a great opportunity for us. Whereas if we run at them from the front, a good guard, a good basketball player is just going to either throw over the
Yeah.
top or bounce. And now they have a 3-on-1, a 3-on-2, which is, disadvantageous for us. And when you press, you're going to foul more anyway. And we don't want to give up easy shots, open shots. I mean, I know back in the day, Rick Pitino at Kentucky, they used to trap like that up the sideline, but
Hmm.
also teams didn't shoot 25 threes a game
That's
back
true.
then.
Yeah.
More guys
Yeah.
didn't used to play two bigs back then. Now teams play four guards. I mean, we play four guards essentially every game. So I think just the way the game's evolved, the way it's changed, we think that this has been good for us just to try it. And we tell our guys, if we don't get a trap in the press, that's fine. Like sometimes we just have good ball pressure. We get them out of their offense or out of their sets or whatever. We sped them up a little bit. It's like that's a win as well.
Hmm.
Okay, if we don't trap, we're looking for good traps. So here he gets them in a speed dribble. He's the next guy over, so he's coming and he cuts him off.
Mm.
So right there, and so now he's going to play this ball. I should have guys pulling up even more, but we rush him, so we're able to force that turnover and then attack out of it on a 3-on-2. And we're able to get a bucket out of it. And this is a really good team that we're playing. This is our rival. I think they're ranked third in the state.
Mm.
Uh,
Wow.
if we didn't miss 9 free throws and several layups, we might have been able to hold that one out. You can't miss free
Can
throws.
have the best press, right? But you can't hit
Yeah.
your free throws
Yeah.
down the stretch or
Essentially,
layups.
yeah,
Then yeah.
good teaching point, right? Like
Yeah.
you can force 24 turnovers a game like we did, but if you can't make free throws or layups, it's hard to win. This is another good team. This is another Elite Eight team. They were ranked top 5 in the state. They might have even been ranked number 2. I can't remember, but they try to like clear out. So you can always see my big.
Yeah.
He's starting to go. He's starting to run at him, but my guy on ball is actually able to speed him up and just get a steal right there. So, I mean, that's essentially what we try to do on ball.
Can you go back to that? I want to
Yeah.
ask you a particular question. And do you have a shot clock?
We do not. I wish we did. We vote for it every year. We do not have a
Oh,
shot.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're
So
still waiting.
does this help, hurt, or really doesn't matter? I mean, I think it would matter because one, if you're putting that kind of pressure on them, like you said, I don't need necessarily a trap, but if they're shooting with 15 seconds left on the shot clock every
Right.
single time, right?
Yeah, no,
That's a
that
different
would
game,
help.
right?
I think that would only help us, to be
Yeah.
honest, because there are I'm always a proponent of, like, if a team's pressing us, we're attacking the press to get layups to go score.
Mhm.
I always tell our guys, if we're going to press a team and if they're not going to attack our press, if they're just going to cross half court and then set it up, we're going to press them all night long because they're not making us pay for pressing them. We're pretty much getting free opportunities to press, right?
Mhm.
So, if we had a shot clock, I think it would play to our advantage. I think the NFHS new rules this year where you have 5 fouls in a quarter to go to double bonus, they eliminated
Right.
the 1. I think that's
Yeah.
actually helped us a little bit because referees adjust to how we're playing defense because most teams in our state don't press like we do.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah.
sometimes that first quarter we rack up those fouls a little bit, and then once you get to the second quarter and you get a fresh foul count, a lot of times it kind of evens out from there, which has been good for us. But see, like here, he should be face guarding. Like he's face guarding, he's not. So he gets kind of a free catch, but we're still okay because we have a good on ball defender. He's 80 feet from the rim.
Right.
Clear out. This is their big, so he's just clearing out.
And stop right there. So that big, when he was coming across, I'm assuming that was anticipation. He knows he got sped up. He's probably he's headed for the corner. He's like, okay. Now, again, teaching, if that ball handler just slow, methodical, that big is not coming over. Right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not supposed
It's just
to.
if he's sped up, he's looking for that, and then
Right.
he knows he's going to have to turn because right.
Right.
The big knows that guy, that the ball handler is going to have to turn. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, we
Okay.
also, another teaching point, like we tell our guys, we don't want to trap the under control dribble. We don't want to trap where a guy his head's up, he's seeing the floor, he's comfortable. Now, as soon as a guy gets on a speed dribble, which we say is like when they use that second dribble to get by a guy, usually their head comes down.
Yeah.
Like right here, he's speeding up. That's when he sees that, and we're yelling at him to go. Because we know this kid's fast too. That helps when you have really fast guards that can beat them. But a lot of times, if we tell guys like, hey, could you beat me if I'm dribbling the ball and you're just sprinting, can you beat me in a race? Say, yeah. Well, it's like, well, then we should be able to turn most of these guys. And see that one, that wasn't even a turnover because of the trap. That was just a turnover. Right. Sped them up. And that actually happens a lot, especially as the game goes on. We'll be able to get some like that, and it gets us easy opportunities. I mean, we weren't the greatest offensive team, but we were able to create a lot of easy buckets just by playing this style. We got, and it's one of those things. It'll just get better as the season goes along.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.